Hopefully everything is working. So we're going to get started here in just a bit as people filter in. And if you guys can't hear me or anything like that, just let me know and I will see what I can do to adjust. Okay, I'm not sure if anybody's joined yet because I am unable to see that screen. So we'll wait a few minutes to get started. I'm here. I'm just waiting for people to find their way in. I don't want anybody to miss anything, so you get a lovely view of my currently being colored pictures here while you wait. So hopefully you guys can hear and everything. Cool. Ooh, that's an interesting name. I wish I knew how to pronounce that. Is it Gilu, maybe? Or Gilu? Anyway, hello. Marion, good afternoon. Hi, Dael. Oh, yeah, you can see my cat scratches. Isn't that nice? My cat is vicious. Okay, let's look at these. These are prettier than my cat scratches. We'll wait just a couple more minutes so that we can get everybody in here that wants to be in, because this is kind of new. I know some people are still figuring out how to get in and watch, but once we do, we will be talking about importing images and the color wheel and some other cool stuff like that. Hi, Nicole. Welcome. And Lisa, thank you for joining me. Hi, Shelly. Thanks for coming. I hope you guys are liking the Pigment gallery as much as I am. I'm having so much fun looking at all of the pictures people are coloring. It's amazing how much talent is out there. I follow like everybody, so I see all kinds of pictures. Awesome. It's really cool how people can have a completely different take on the same picture. That's my favorite thing, is looking at 15 versions of the same picture and seeing how people interpret it differently. Cool stuff. Hi, Maria. Okay, this is a pretty good sized group. I think I'll go ahead and get started, and people can just filter in as they wish. And so the very first thing that I want to talk about is how to import images. And this is a feature that is really cool and unique to Pigment, and a little bit confusing if you've never done it. So, hi, Kathy. So here we go. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see this little clickable thing that says, or tappable thing that says import. When you go ahead and open that up, come on, pencil, you'll see three options here. You can, hopefully you can see them. Is that too blurry? Can you guys see that? Okay, well anyway, you have three options there. Load photo, take a picture, or pull from your iCloud or Dropbox or, Drive or wherever you might have your images stored on a cloud. So I'm going to use the load photo one because that's the one that is most straightforward, and probably the one that you'll end up using the most too if you do this. So I'm going to click load photo. It brings up all my pictures, and I have this picture here that I've chosen to show you guys. And the first thing that you can do, whoops, somebody's adjusting my camera here for me, so hopefully that's better. Okay, so the first thing you want to do when you bring a picture in is decide if you want to crop it, which cropping just means changing the perspective or the size. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So this is the picture by itself. To crop, you zoom in or zoom out, and you can sort of move this around on the screen until you have the picture you want. So I'm going to zoom in on this terrifying child right here. He looks really, really scared, and that's pretty funny to me. So I'm going to crop it there. You can also, at the bottom, you see this rotate thing, and that allows you to sort of twist the picture around like that if you want to have a different angle on it. Once you're done cropping, you choose next up here in the corner, and you'll see three new options here: original, light, and bold. And that just refers to how strong the contrast between light and dark is in this picture. So it defaults to light. It's the first one you'll see. Bold, you'll see it turns it even more terrifying. It looks a little Frankenstein-y. And then original, you have your subtle grayscale tones here. One thing to note about Pigment is that when you import a color image, it will automatically strip the color out. So you will always be working with a black and white image when you use import. And I most often use the original form, so I'm going to stick with that. Tap the little green checkbox at the top right corner, and that brings your picture into your Pigment workspace. Okay, so terrifying child time. When you bring a picture into Pigment, you may or may not have the ability to use automatic coloring mode. It depends on the kind of picture you bring in. If you bring in a picture with very clear-cut black and white, it's maybe a line art drawing or something like that, there's a good chance that automatic mode will be, you'll be able to use that, because Pigment's, I don't know what you want to call it, Pigment's internal engine or whatever, it can recognize those easy lines. But I'm going to be best for you to work in freehand mode. Okay, so that's really pretty straightforward, and you can color anything on your picture. I mean, here we go. I mean, what's more terrifying than this child? Is this child with a yellow beard? That's more terrifying. So anyway, importing is really cool. When you're done, you save it. It goes into your works file here. And you know, be responsible when you import. That's something that I know is important to a lot of people. If you import your own images, of course, that's awesome. And if you import your own artwork, very cool. If you import something else, maybe that you find on the web, maybe just do a little bit of research and make sure that that is responsibly sourced. Okay, so next thing we're going to talk about is the color wheel. And hi everybody who's come in. Okay, for the color wheel explanation, I'm going to start with a blank page because I'm going to do all kinds of fun stuff here. Okay, let's make sure that this is all in focus. All right, so the color wheel is probably the most amazing thing. Hang on one sec, guys. Okay, just checking. I'm so nervous about my camera because to me on my screen it looks really fuzzy, so I'm always worried. But if you guys can see it okay, that's all that matters. Okay, so the color wheel is, it's got several parts to it. This circle along the outside here that I'm tracing, this is where you select your hue. And your hue is just, you know, whatever, the fancy art word for color. And anytime you're getting ready to color, you just pick from this outer wheel here, and that is sort of your starting point. So let's say I want to color a sky and I want it to be blue. I'm going to go over here and click blue. Now, here comes the interesting part. This whole interior circle here allows you to choose from shades and tints and saturation levels of that basic color blue. So we're going to go to the maximum saturation, the purest form of this blue. And we'll work in, let me use the circle brush. That's a good one for laying down really flat color. Hi guys, coming in. Welcome. Okay, so I've got my blue, right? Now, let's say that I want to create a gradient. And a gradient is just a subtle variation of the tint or the shade of a color over a space. So check this out. This little thing right here, if you can see that I'm circling on the screen, for the longest time I couldn't figure out what this did. And then I finally figured out what it represents, and it's awesome. This little doodad here, the top part of it tells you what color you're currently using, and the bottom part of it tells you what color you recently used, most recently used. So right now they're both the same because I only have one color up here. But let's say I want to create a gradient, so I want to add a little bit more shade, and that means darker, to my blue. So I'm moving this little thing down toward the darker part of the blue. And now you can see that I've got my current color, which is this darker blue that I'm about to use, and then my blue that I originally started with down here. And why this is relevant is that if you are trying to create a very subtle gradient, you can match your shades very, very closely so that it's super subtle and cool. Or you can go bananas, you know, whatever you want. But I find it really useful because it comes in handy when you're shading and things like that. Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so now I've got this darker blue, and I'm going to put it in here. And you can see it's just a little bit darker than the one above it. I'm going to do that again. Just like that. Now, if you want to reduce sort of the saturation of a color that you've chosen, you want to move it toward the gray. Saturation just sort of refers to how much a color, or how close a color is to gray. So a reduced saturation would be one that's over here. It's not as rich, right? It's got a little more gray in it. It's closer to the color gray. Just like that. How do you get a blank page, Sean? That's a good question. Let me show you guys how to do that. So we're going to back out of here. When you are on your coloring library, if you want to call it that, your work folder here, right up here in the top right corner is a little page with a folded edge on it, or a folded dog-eared corner on it. That means blank page. So you can click that and it'll open up a pure, or twice, it'll open up a pure blank page for you to work with. So that's handy, especially handy if you, I don't know if you guys do this, but I do this, where I come in and I mix colors together, sort of like my own little painter palette, you know, and I can then come over here and put it in a palette for myself or whatever. So that's one cool thing you can do with blank pages. And you can also do full paintings. I've seen some amazing artwork in the Pigment gallery of people who've started with blank page and done freehand work, and that's really awesome too. So hopefully that helps you. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and stay on this page. A little bit more about the color wheel. This area over here next to the color wheel is going to be a collection of your 16 most recently used colors. And that comes in super handy because if you're coloring a picture with lots of different colors and you realize you forgot to color a leaf because you're me, and I do that all the time, you can go, oh yeah, okay, go back here, find that green or whatever that you used for that leaf, and you don't have to go hunting again for that specific color. It's right there. However, the caveat is it is only 16 colors worth of memory there. So if you are concerned that you might lose a color and you don't want that to happen, here's what you can do. Go over to this little palette menu over here, create new palette, and you'll see it's got that green, right? And you can add any colors you want and make sure that they don't go away, right? You can call it your favorite greens or whatever. And then you will always have that in your library, in your palette library. There's Pigments palettes here, which are amazing. And then you have My Colors, which are your palettes. And you won't have to worry about losing anything that you find in your amazing color wheel. Okay, so other fun things about color wheel. How do you mix colors, right? Like, it's super easy if you want to choose pink or something, and then you want to go to a color next to it. But what happens when you want something that is across from another color? Like, say you've got red, right? So you want something that's red, but you also want there to be some blue in it. Well, blue and red is technically purple, yes. But let's say you want a shade of blue, like this turquoise. Well, you can't find that on the color wheel, right? Because these are opposite from each other. Or are they? They are. But, okay, so you can pick your blue and kind of layer it on top, and you'll see where they overlap here. Over here is this awesome tool called the dropper tool. Right over here by your palette library. Tap on that dropper, and you can go in and grab that color, that mix of those two colors. Done. And there it is. Now you have this color, right? That you've found. And all the while it was here in this color wheel, but you just didn't know. You're right. It has a value, a numerical value. And you know, you might not know where to find that on the color wheel until you do the palette mixing thing like I just did. And there, and you have it. You can have it forever. You can save that color forever and never have to worry about finding it again. So that's one way to approach the problem of mixing colors that are sort of opposite from each other on the color wheel. Okay, now, one thing that I'm kind of hoping Pigment does at some point is to put a permanent black and a permanent white down here so that you can find them easily. You can get them from the Pigment palette library. You have a black and white or a grayscale palette here, and you can find those. But if you don't want to go to the Pigment palette menu to find your black and white, here's what you can do. Go to one of the darkest colors on the color wheel. I'm going to go to blue here. Drag this all the way down to the very, very bottom. And that will be, I'm low opacity here, that will be black. Okay. And same thing with white. If you want white, go all the way up there and you've got white. And I use blue because I find it to be the most accurate, but technically you should be able to do it with any color all the way down. Okay, so if you need to grab black or white real quick, that's a good way to get it. And if you guys have any questions, please let me know. I am so ready to answer any questions you have to the best of my ability. And hopefully this is helping you guys understand kind of how to use the color wheel. So if you're adding white, that's called a tint. And if you're adding black, that's called a shade. So that's kind of a fun little bit of trivia if anybody ever comes around asking what's the difference between tint and shade. Aren't they the same thing? No! Tint is when you add white to a color, and shade is when you add black. And when you are moving a color toward or away from gray, that is called saturation. High saturation over here, low saturation over here. Tint, shade, just like that. What brush am I using? This is the circle brush, Jennifer. It's a really good brush for doing lines, clean lines. If you take your brush size way down, you can get, whoops, you can get clean. How about I do this right so you can actually understand? I clicked the wrong button and now I'm all messed up. Okay, come on, eraser. Work with me here, buddy. Alright, so you can take your brush size way down and do really cool line drawings and stuff like that. So I use it a lot for creating stars and little tiny details like extra leaves or flowers or branches and things like that. I almost think of it like a pen, like it's a studio pen. But it's also awesome for, I'm sure you guys have seen me do stars before. Check this out. Circle. Right. And then I come over and I grab my bloom with the same color and I go over the top of it. And then I've got that glow. So circle tool is cool for that too. So hopefully that helps. So do you guys have any questions for me? Because I really want to know what's on your minds and answer. Yeah, I am using an Apple pencil. It's covered in a little gripper thing, but I cannot say enough about how amazing Pigment interacts with the Apple Pencil, especially with certain tools, like, for example, the pencil tool. With Apple Pencil, the pressure that you apply to the screen. Let's make my pencil a little bigger here. The pressure you apply to the screen determines how dark. See, light pressure here, and then darker pressure, and then even darker pressure, right? So it's a really, really... Oh, you can't see it on black? I'm so sorry. Let me fix that for you guys. Let's fix that. I apologize. There we go. Pink is like one of my favorite colors, so I work in that area a lot. Okay, so let me try that again so you can see. With the Apple Pencil, when you apply just light pressure, you get a very soft color. And refocus. And then if I add a little more pressure, I get a slightly darker version and then even darker. And that's what's really cool about Apple Pencil and Pigment, is that it allows you this subtlety in your coloring. I don't know. I do know that Pigment's, that the website, if you go there, there's a lot of information. I'm not sure if there's specifically a instruction manual, but I will ask and find out for you guys. Where do you get an Apple Pencil? You can get them, as far as I know, you can get them online through the Apple website. You can also go into an Apple store and get them. I'm sure there are other methods. Those are the two I know about. Why does the tip of my pencil look like a paintbrush? Oh, are you saying why it does? It looks, can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see it or not. It kind of, to me, looks like a pen, sort of. Is that what you mean? When I first used it, I thought it actually felt so much like a real pen. Some tips for shading with a 3D effect. Sure, yeah. Be happy to do that. Oh, a digital color. Okay, I'll address that first since we were talking about importing earlier. If you have a digital coloring book, I have many of them. Save those images to your cloud drive like iCloud or Dropbox, or you can save them directly to your device in your images folders, and then just import them from there. So oftentimes they'll come in a PNG format or a JPEG format. Just save them just like you would save a picture from the web or something. Just, press right click, however your device works for that. And then you can import them. Did everybody catch how to import? Do I need to go over that again, or are you guys good on that? And hi everybody who came in. Okay, so somebody asked about tips for creating a 3D effect. This sort of ties into the Apple Pencil itself, actually, although you can do shading without it too if you just have a regular stylus, or even if you use your finger. By the way, you finger users out there, you guys are amazing, because I can't do that. Okay, so let me open up an actual coloring page here. Maybe one that I've started or something. Yeah, okay, so let me open up this one. I've been working on this one for a while. To create a 3D effect. So go over to our color wheel here. And I know that my last live streaming I talked about pillow shading, and that's one good way to sort of create a 3D effect, but I'll go over that real quick again. So I'm going to start with this green. And I'm going to come over here. And this is my base color. I've talked about base colors a lot. Base color is just essentially the color that is going to be under everything else, providing a base to build on top of. And it is often a mid color, so something darker and something lighter will be applied over it. And here's what I mean. Back to my color wheel, still working within the hue of green over here, but I'm going to choose a shade now, which means I'm going to go darker. And I can see that this part of the leaf probably covers the leaf under it, so I know there will be some shadow there. So I'm just going to apply that dark green there. Just like that. And all of a sudden you can see it's taking shape a little bit. It's starting to get a little bit more three-dimensional. 3D things, one of the easiest ways to achieve that effect is to shade along edges, because it creates the illusion of curve. Now I'm going to do a tint. You guys remember a tint is a light color. I've added some white to my green. I'm going to go right in here and brighten this area up as if it were catching a little bit of light. Just like that. Variations on that theme will get you more three-dimensional looking things. Anybody can do that. Super easy. I have so much faith in you guys because I have seen your work and it is awesome. Okay, so Sean, you said you wanted to go over things again. I'll show importing one more time since that's real quick. Okay, so importing, when you open up your Pigment page here, you've got your library of stuff. Click import or tap import here at the bottom. It's this little camera. It brings up that menu. You can choose a photo from any of these places. Load photo will pull photos directly from your device. You can take a picture with your camera, which I am not going to do because that would be really awful. Nope, you can't have my camera right now, Pigment, sorry. Let me get out of here. Can I get out of here? There we go, okay. And then you can also pull from iCloud or Dropbox or Drive or whatever cloud you've got going on there. So load photo. Find a picture that you want to bring in. Terrifying child. Ah, okay. What I'm doing here, Sean, is I'm squeezing and expanding to change how large my picture is and how much of the subject is in it. So I'm zooming in here on my really scared kid. This little thing down here will adjust the rotation. If you want to tilt your picture a little bit. Click next when you're ready. You can choose to make it bold, which means you just increase the contrast, the heaviness of those black lines. Light is your default, and original. This is original. I like to work with original. Then just tap your green checkbox at the top right corner, and it puts it into your Pigment workspace, just like that, Sean. So hopefully that helps. All of the stuff I'm talking about now, okay, you know what? I'm going to get rid of this guy because he's really freaking me out. All the stuff I'm talking about today, by the way, you can access at any time because this whole session is being recorded. So you can go back and listen to it and fast forward through the really boring parts because I know that those are in there. Or you can focus on specific things that maybe you need to listen to a couple of times before it makes more sense or whatever. And, you know, it might bring up some more questions that you can ask me. All right. I hope you guys had a good time coming in. It is so awesome to get to talk to you live like this, and I'm really excited that I get to do this once a month with you guys. Always be thinking of questions that you guys can ask me or topics that you want me to cover. I love your guys' input on that, and hopefully the explanation of the color wheel will help you guys go out there and come up with the most crazy awesome palettes and beautiful pictures. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. Okay guys, you are free to go. Class is over. Thanks. I'll talk to you guys soon.